We have a report of a gunshot wound on Circuit Road just north of Cortland. He is breathing at this time. Okay, and what's his name?
Brock Melton.
Okay.
Brock, you're all right. I'm right here.
Well, it was a Sunday morning, and just a usual Sunday morning. I didn't go to church because we had things to do in the morning. And Brock had started feeding our livestock. The agreement was he was going to do part of it, and I was going to finish because he wanted to go hunting that day, and that's what we did.
We'd been having a good morning. It was a lot of fun. I was coming up from the south, I guess. I seen Brock's pickup over there. I kind of watched his pickup just kind of come to a stop. And I thought, I wonder what... I thought he just broke down, I guess. But the coyote run right behind his pickup, and Brock's pickup's just sitting there. So we took off after the coyote, and next thing I know, somebody was yelling on the radio, call 911. Brock's been shot.
He was slouched over the steering wheel, and I was like, there's no way that someone survives that. And his passenger took his hoodie off and was already applying pressure. And the first thing I was like, we need to get him going. Like, I need a helicopter. I need to get stuff going.
Republic County 911, what's your emergency?
I have someone that has been shot in the head. We're Kyle hunting. We are right north of the Cortland corner. I need an ambulance now. It's in the head. I need an ambulance now.
I remember the pickup was still in gear. His foot was still on the accelerator. So I reached in and put it in park and opened the door up on him, and he woke up.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Are they coming?
Yes, we have them paged out right now.
We're in a blue Ford Explorer.
Blue Ford.
We got our flashers on. We're hauling. You're probably going to have to call the helicopter, so you might as well just go ahead and do that now. Brock, be quiet and breathe. Brock, just breathe. Brock, just breathe. I just remember him looking at me saying, Kaylee, what happened? And at that point, you don't know whether to tell him or whether just to kind of ignore the question. And he just, Kaylee, what happened? What happened? And Brock, you've been shot.
All we knew is that there was a gunshot wound to the head. He was alert and talking. It was pretty scary not knowing any other details of what had happened. And then we rolled up, and we're unloading him out of the back of this Ford Explorer.
When John come to get me at church was already in process. And all I remember is somebody tapping me on the shoulder and turn around and look into the back of the church there and just seeing his face. He was just white. And I knew something terrible had happened.
Well, anytime you have a gunshot victim, you're not sure what to expect. When he brought in, I saw he was moving all his extremities, which I took as a good sign. He was still speaking, and he had a large bandage over his head. And as I started to take that out, I saw that he had actually had bone fragments sticking out. So then we took him back to the CAT scan because I knew it would be a little while. You could see an entrance wound. You could actually see bone fragments that went into his brain. And then about 6 inches on the other side of the entry wound, you actually saw a slug of the shotgun shell. We knew pretty quickly that Brock was going to be going somewhere. It kind of added the urgency once we got the CAT scan on.
We didn't know if we was going to have our son anymore. It was very scary. I remember seeing him just laying on the table, and he had already had the ventilation thing in. And I don't think it was very long before they life flighted him out.
We got the patient information as soon as we lifted off. And the team I was with, I definitely remember, thinking that it was going to be a pretty critical case. And being the distance that Brock was at in Belleville, it was very important to get him to an appropriate facility in a timely manner so that they can intervene and provide the care that they do. We were definitely very concerned for his overall outcome.
We got a call from an outside facility that there was a Category 1 trauma coming. Traumas are divided into 3 categories. Category 1 traumas are the sickest of the patients that will be coming to you. So we went ahead, stabilized him, gave him medications to calm him down. We immediately took him to surgery, and he had a decompressive craniectomy where we evacuated lots of blood from his brain and took out the fragments in his brain. We really didn't have a lot of time. And standing the patient would help bring down the pressure in the brain. We normally would do that. That's almost like the end of our resuscitation. Everything we need is like throwing the book at him to make sure we bring the pressure in his brain down, because we knew we needed to save this kid's life.
Well, as a nurse, and I'm the big sister, so knowing what can go wrong, understanding everything that did go wrong, and then trying to explain that to everyone else, that made it a little bit tough. There were a lot of times I wish that I wasn't a nurse, because that made it a little bit scarier.
It was on my mind all the time. I just thought I lost my best friend, I guess.
I remember the second or third day into it, going in beside him, and he wasn't conscious right at first, and telling him this was Mom, and can you squeeze my hand? And he squeezed my hand. He'd give thumbs up, or go like this when he didn't want us to do something. One thing we had talked about the other day is when he finally realized we was around him, he had a tear running down his cheek.
Even while he's on the ventilator, we slowly just always talk to him. We kind of find out, does he hear us? What can he do? Can he move? 2-3 days after, he opened his eyes. That was like a miracle. Every member of my team, it was more like breaking news. And I remember walking to talk to the parents. I saw the look in the mom's eyes. It's like telling her, your dead son had just arisen. I looked at her and I said, this is what we do. This is what this team is about. And that was just the first phase of the good recovery that he had.
When Brock first came to us, he was in a wheelchair. We had to use lift devices to move him. He couldn't even sit on the edge of the bed without any assistance. But he was very determined. He told us at one point that he was going to walk out of here, and we're like, okay, we'll see if that happens. And he proved all of us wrong, and he walked out of here, and it was just a really amazing progress to see.
You could see he was making progression every day. Each day was getting a little better.
Everything went like it's supposed to, and I never had a doubt in my mind that his care wasn't good enough. I mean, they were caring for my little brother exactly like it was their little brother the whole time.
You could tell his determination that he was going to get better. So he wanted out of there. He wanted to be back home to the farm.
To go from not being able to do anything for yourself to being able to get back to farming, which was his dream and his passions, it's really neat to look back and see how much progress he's made.
He's planted some this spring. He's managed to be able to be in the tractor some. He's going to get there. He's getting closer and closer to walking without his walker.
Something like Brock's accident really makes you realize how short life really is, and how much you have to tell your family members how much you love them, because you never know what's going to happen.
Most gunshot wounds to the head never survive. You never even get a call that patient is coming to the hospital. Stories like this make you wake up, have a smile in your face, come to work and say, yes, I'm proud to be a trauma surgeon and I'm proud to be a member of this amazing trauma team.
You know, he's what's going to keep our family farm going. You know, a gunshot wound to the head is one of the worst things you could think of, and here he is, back on the farm, exactly where he should be.